Hello and welcome back to Grace Daily Motivation. In this video, we will be discussing the 5 characteristics of Rahab that saved her from death. Rahab's story is found in the book of Joshua in the Bible. She was a prostitute living in Jericho, a city that was about to be destroyed by the Israelites. Despite her occupation and her nationality, Rahab showed remarkable faith and courage that ultimately saved her and her family. So let's dive into the 5 characteristics of Rahab. Who was Rahab in the Bible? Rahab is a figure in the Hebrew Bible and the subject of the book of Joshua. She is described as a prostitute and a harlot who assisted the spies sent by Moses to Jericho because she did not know that they were spies. She was spared of death because of her faith in God. Her story is told in the book Joshua 2:1-21. The story begins with the spies sent by God to Jericho to spy out on the land. Joshua and Caleb were the only 2 spies who brought a good report and believed God would save them. Rahab tells Joshua that she has heard that Israel is coming. However, she does not know their identity or their plans for conquest. She asks if they will come to her house and promise to save them from the king of Jericho by hiding the spies in her house. Her story is a testimony of how God can use anyone despite their ugly past to accomplish His divine purpose. It also shows God can save and redeem anyone regardless of their sinfulness. So, here are the 5 major traits of Rahab, a Canaanite woman and prostitute who was unworthy of God's grace and salvation that made her partake of God's undeserved goodness. Number 1. She had faith. One of the first characteristics Rahab had is that she was a woman of faith, as we see in Joshua 2:9, which is why she said to the spies who came to her that she knew the Lord they served. Due to this, she decided by faith to protect the spies by hiding them in her house. Due to her faith in the one true God of Israel, the spies served, Rahab and her entire family were spared from sudden destruction. Rahab's story is a clear testimony that tells us that God can save anyone who willingly submits their life to Him, regardless of their horrible sinful past. Rahab ended up being a partaker of God's grace, mercy, and goodness she didn't deserve, given that she was a harlot worthy of death at that time. Her decision to believe in the one true God of Israel, the spies served, changed everything for the better. Number 2. She was fearless. Another second trait we can see Rahab had is that she was fearless. Rahab knew that her decision to protect the spies, as we see in Joshua 2:6 in the Old Testament, could cost her life. Despite this, she fearlessly chose by faith to protect the spies by hiding her in her home, believing by faith that the God of Israel the spies served would somehow deliver her, which happened to be the case. The story of Rahab must be a challenge and encouragement to you as a New Testament believer to be fearless as well during times of uncertainty, or even when your life is under threat. Implying that you must not fear to serve the Lord in difficult circumstances or do the right thing even when that may cost your life, as we see in the case of Rahab, which is why we are told in Isaiah 41:10 that we must fear not but trust the Lord. Number 3. She had courage. Rahab was also a courageous woman, which is why she managed to hide the Israelite spies that came to spy on her land, even when she knew it might cost her life, as we see in Joshua 2:67. Her courage is what enables her to step up where it mattered the most and to change her destiny for herself and her family, when she chose to save the spies by hiding them in her house. If Rahab wasn't courageous, she would have given away the position of the spies that came to her and possibly ruined her destiny. However, her courage at the time it mattered the most saved her from sudden destruction. As a Christian, you are also called to have courage so that you can make the right choices in your life when it matters the most in the midst of uncertainty. Number 4. She kept her word. The 4th characteristic Rahab had is she was a woman of her word and kept her word of promising to protect the Israelite spies that came to her house, which she never broke like most would in her situation. Being a woman of her word made Rahab earn respect from Joshua despite being a Canaanite prostitute who eventually decided to save her and her entire family from destruction in Joshua 6:25. If Rahab never kept her word of protecting the Israelite spies because of fear, she definitely wouldn't have been spared along with her entire family, and probably she wouldn't even be part of the bloodline of Jesus Christ. The faithfulness of Rahab in keeping her word even in hard times when her life was under threat must encourage you as a Christian today to be a person of your word and not a person who says one thing and does another. Number 5. She chose to fear God. Last but not least, we also see that Rahab chose to fear the one true God the Israelite spies served and represented as opposed to the earthly king of Jericho. She chose to fear the God of Israel because she knew and realized that the God the spies served was a true and living one who was above every earthly king, including the one from Jericho. Her choice to fear the Lord rather than the earthly king caused Rahab to earn favor from the Lord, thereby beginning her new journey and walking with the God of Israel from her life of being a prostitute. Rahab's choice to fear the Lord reminds us that people who chose to fear the Lord by departing from evil earn favor from God. It's why Psalms 111:10 tells us the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom and life. In conclusion, Rahab's story is a powerful reminder of the importance of faith, hospitality, courage, risk-taking, and willingness to change. Despite being a prostitute and a foreigner, Rahab's faith in God and her actions ultimately saved her and her family from certain death. Her story shows that God can use anyone, regardless of their background, to accomplish His purposes. As we strive to follow God, let us look to Rahab's example and seek to embody these 5 characteristics in our own lives. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more biblical insights and teachings. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. May God bless you and keep you always.